like to me also, it's obvious that Sweet 16, Bar Mitzvah, Quinceañera, all that stuff. Our ancestors, that what you did was trip with them. You tripped with the elders to become an adult. That's why when
Mm.
you indigenous people, you meet a 20-year-old indigenous person, they're 20 years old physically, but mentally they're like 50 already, and they're wise as shit. Why is that? Because they trip a couple times with their people a year, and they
Well,
don't fuck
yeah,
up their stuff, and they keep their ego. And that's why they don't fuck everything up.
yeah. Age. What do they call it? Rites of initiation at different times of aging is obviously something that was integrated in most traditional cultures, if not all of them. Prior to, I guess we have a kind of tradition. Even the Western material consumer culture is a kind of tradition, but the sort of
Mm.
older traditions, ours is lacking.
Ours
But
comes from those
our
traditions comes from the bankers.
well, our society actually thrives on what's called neoteny. Neoteny is, you know what, you would be familiar with neoteny because chances are the majority of maybe your dogs, depending on what you're into, but for a lot of people, you would be familiar with neoteny because dogs are cultivated in order to have them maintain childlike traits in adulthood, which is that you want a dog to be cuddly and fluffy and cute and all the rest of this, right? That's not the trait of a fully developed wild dog, which is the wolf. Like all domestic species of dogs are one species, Canis lupus familiaris, which is a
Damn.
offset of the Canis lupus, the gray wolf. So all of these dogs are the same species and they've been selectively bred for their various traits and attributes. And one of the things that dogs tend to be bred for is, of course, behavior. And oftentimes we want dogs that don't act like wolves, they act like puppies, right? So neoteny is the process by which animals, we'll say, are reared or cultivated to maintain adolescent or childlike behaviors into adulthood. That is what we do. How many 45-year-old children have you met? Probably a lot, right? And that's
How
that's
about
a
this
that's a consequence of
52-year-old child?
well, there's a difference between childlike
And
and
goofball.
childish, if you imagine.
Mm.
Like there's a difference between being able to drop in the childhood wonder of a thing and acting like an entitled 6-year-old, right?
Right. Yeah.
So this is what I mean by that. And I genuinely believe that it is advantageous to the way things are to keep people emotionally adolescent or childish because you're easier to be manipulated if that's the case. And that's not to say that there's some big grand conspiracy to manipulate people, blah blah blah. I'm not saying that isn't the case, but what I am saying is that from a consumer capitalist culture, people who are easily triggered or manipulated to buy or follow trends are going to serve that culture more effectively as the sort of agents of consumption. And so I do think that there's a strong component there. I think there's a lot of ignorance in that too. Not like there's probably some malevolence in there, but I think a lot of it is ignorance as a consequence of multiple sets of generations of people who have been completely detached from the absolute necessities of human flourishing being provided to them in childhood and in culture.
Damn, son. Drop that. Bam! I wish I had my Lisa laugh. Whoa!